Behind me is a 1932 Ford three-window coupe street rod, affectionately known as a deuce coupe. And this car actually has extremely oxidized aluminum wheels. So before this car leaves, I want to make two videos. First video, so I'm going to show how to machine scrub tires, get them clean. As you can see by the before video, these tires have not been properly cleaned in a long time. So I'm going to share a technique that I use and I teach in my classes to machine scrub tires to get them surgically clean. And then in the second video, I'm going to show you how to polish out these aluminum wheels in a simple do-it-yourselfer manner. The kind of thing that the average person, the average car owner could do in their garage or their driveway. We'll be taking a look at some of the power balls for metal polishing that you can attach to a drill. And then I'll show you the before and after. So stay tuned. So let's take a look at these back wheels and tires first. Okay, so let me throw a little swirl finder light on there. As you can see, these aluminum rims, they are completely neglected. I'm gonna take a guess it's been years, possibly decades, since then they've been properly polished out. Okay, the tires themselves have the normal tire browning taking place. Looks like a sponge of some kind on there. So these are definitely need a cleaning. And of course you could scrub these with the brush by hand, but the machine method I'm gonna show you is so much more efficient. Okay, let's take a look at the front one. Here's how we're gonna machine scrub. Okay, we got the same kind of thing going on here. Just look at the water spots on the aluminum. A lot of oxidation. The tires aren't as bad in the front, but still they're really just neglected. They got no life to them. So let me show you how to machine clean the tires. Then in a separate video, I'll show how to machine polish the aluminum rims. First up, I gotta move this car outside. So I've assembled all the different products, the brushes, and the cordless Flex PE 150 with a 5-inch rotary brush. And of course, I also got the knee and back cushion to sit on because, concrete's hard, plus it keeps you from getting all wet. So let me just do a little close-up video, show you all the different stuff, and then we'll tackle that tire and the rim. First, let's go ahead and video document the condition of the tire using outside light. This is what I was talking about. This thing has not been properly cleaned. My guess is decades. I know a little bit about the background story of this thing. It's sat for quite a while. And the aluminum wheel, totally oxidized, okay? So here's the secret. This is a cordless Flex PE 14, so cordless, you're not gonna get shocked. If you had a power cord ring out here and you're sitting in water, there's always the risk of getting shocked, and it has happened to me. This is a 5-inch rotary brush. You can source these on Amazon. This is called a 5-inch backing plate, but usually a 5-inch backing plate is just a little under like 4.5, 4 3/4, 4 3, something, because you need something smaller to center on something larger. And then this is a 3-inch extension from Lake Country. And what I like about that is it helps you, it gets the body of the tool away from the backing plate so you can shove it in there and get what's called the flat spot, the low spot where the tire meets the pavement there. And so you just turn on, you just cram it in there and brush. Of course, yes, you can get out and roll the car forward, and do the flat spots, and I've done that before, but I'm just gonna show you the quick, fast, simple way. Okay, for chemicals, first I've mixed up some soapy water. That's just for my brushes. It helps to release all the dirt as you're going through the process of cleaning the wheels and tires. For that, I'm just using the Dr. Beasley ceramic body wash. There's no ceramic in this. It's what it is. It's pure soap. There's nothing in it. It's to maintain a ceramic coated finish or any finish. I got the Dr. Beasley's premium degreaser and the premium wheel cleaner, and I'll show you how I use those. Then over here, here's the real key for really cleaning nasty tires. You can get a product called Soft Scrub, which is basically a liquid version of Comet. You can also just use Comet. Put a little bit of water in your bowl, mix it up with your finger, then go to town with your brush. This is actually a stainless steel dog bowl I picked up at the dollar store for about like $1.30. And of course, a couple just wheel face brush. Here's how most people clean tires. They get a tire brush and then they scrub really hard, and it works, but once you machine scrub tires, you'll never look back. Anyway, so let me go ahead and put this thing on the old tripod. Hopefully I've got this thing set up good enough so you can see all the action. I'm working solo here, so this is the best I can do. Hang tight. Okay, so the one thing most of you won't have to deal with is your artificial leg. I always have to deal with that. Sometimes I cover it up. This time I'm just gonna wipe all the splatter off. It's no big deal. Here's my tire, here's my rim. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take and dunk my brushes into the soapy water. And just to demonstrate, this is how most people clean tires. You know, spray a tire grosser and do this. It's all dependent upon your elbow grease, your muscles, you know, and usually a short bristle brush. Here, look, I'm pulling all kinds of junk off there already. And this works. If this is all you got, by gosh, use it. It'll actually use with the technique I'm going to show you. And what this is really good for is just carefully getting around the valve stems. This one's rubber. One of the things I teach in all my classes and practice myself is don't cram your wheel cleaning brush into this, because sometimes these things will oxidize and crack and become brittle and you'll bust it off. Then instead of detailing a cool car, you're changing a flat tire. So, you know, be conscious of that. This also works for getting around the lug nuts. This doesn't have any lug nut barrels. This is what they call a universal wheel. I think it's meant so you can bolt it on Ford, Chevy, Dodge, about anything. And I'll take some lug nuts off when we get inside and show you that. So the first thing I'm going to do, and like I said, you can use Comet, but it's either way, whatever you want to do. I'm going to set this over here because I already own the soft scrub. But the thing about this is this stuff can settle out. So you want to take and shake it up really good. Okay, and then you need some kind of bowl. I mean, you could just paste it on there, but I'll show you why this is easier. So I'm just going to pour some in there. Okay, I'm not going to add any water. And I'm also not going to get my tire wet because I don't want to make this too runny. Okay, so here's my 5-inch brush. I'm going to set this on the low speed setting because I'm going to lock this. Always learn how to lock your tools. And then when you're using a cordless tool, you hold it like this. You know, you put your hand back here to support the weight of the battery and also the head of the tool. And now you've also got great leverage over the tool. You can control it. It will not control you. Okay, so let me get this a little closer here, a little more comfortable. Okay, here we go. Machine scrubbing nasty tires. And this car actually just went through my class. It's been, all the paint correction's been done. It's been ceramic coated. So when I'm done, I'll just give it a quick rinse here. Everything should just flush right off. So I'm not too worried about getting splatter on it. What I'm worried about is getting this tire clean so the tires and the rims will look as good as the car. Okay. Oh, I wish I had a camera guy here to zoom in and just see all this brown stuff that's just coming off from the soft scrub. So soft scrub has an abrasive in it, just like Comet. And so instead of just coming in here with a degreaser or some kind of tire cleaner, which is a great option and will work, I kind of like to bring and include some mechanical abrasion, okay? But I don't want to get too aggressive because if you use rocks in a bottle, you could actually scar or scratch the smooth sidewalls here. So you want to stay safe, obviously. And don't do this. It's nice and slow. Let those brushes get into all the different little nooks and crannies around the letters. And let the machine do the work for you. I started machine cleaning tires. I think I've got the oldest video, and that's from 2000, I think 2011, maybe 2013. Back then, we did not have the cordless rotaries that we have nowadays. This was invented in 2007, it was introduced in 2017. I have the original prototype in my office, or in the garage. I use it all the time. Never broke on me. See how I'm shoving this in there? I'm just shoving it. Trying to get the bristles to get to that little flat spot on the tire. I'm gonna come up. I like to kind of follow around the inner lip of the tire, get all the gunk out of there. Come back on the outer edge, really scrub this tire down. I've seen someone on the internet call this a gimmick, and it don't hurt my feelings. I mean, if they want to scrub by hand with a brush, that's all up to them. The thing is I already own the tool, I own the brush, and know how to do it. So this is how I like to do it. And I teach this plus thousands of other techniques in our class. Okay, so that is thoroughly scrubbed. And I show this all the time. This is just an Orbit sprayer. I picked this up at Home Depot or Lowe's. I like it for the jet setting, and I like it for the shower setting. And for rinsing, I'm just going to start with the shower. Then I might do a little jet here. But one thing I always do is, as soon as I buy these, is while they're brand new, I run this nut in till it makes contact with the lever. So when you pull it out, you got full action. Then I mix up some epoxy and I pour it in there around the threads. And that keeps this sucker from loosening up and falling on the ground and ending up in a drain somewhere. Okay. Wow, that's really clean. Now I am going to go ahead and grab my soapy water and my brush. I talked long enough that, you know, some of the Comet or the soft scrub is kind of dried on there. So just a nice little agitation with some soap. And of course, a quality car wash soap. It helps to dissolve and emulsify any of the junk that's already on there that we loosened. And I'll give it a little attention down here to the bottom part. Come back for a final rinse. And I like to go over to the jet setting and just kind of hit that lip area. Get any junk that's loosened up out of there. And I think that looks good. Okay, so that's how I teach machine scrubbing tires. Now I want to share something else with you. While you're already down on the ground and this thing is really dirty, okay, look at all the junk that's pulled up that tire. Instead of having a separate cleaning process for the brush, make the tool clean the brush. And to do that, all you got to do, let's see if I can figure out how to do this so you can see it on camera. I think if this is on camera, you'll see it. Just take your sprayer. You're going to be spraying water in there and turn it on. It's kind of hitting the concrete, so it's agitating, it's flexing the brushes. Of course, you're flushing it with a ton of water. Spray at the high speed. Look how clean it is. You know, so make the tool clean the brush for you. You don't have to clean it on later on. And keep your brushes clean. Later on, I'm gonna show you how to machine apply a tire dressing, okay? So I don't even do that by hand anymore. This thing will do such a better job, but I also want this to be clean. I don't want this to have all the gunk I took off here, add a dressing to it, and then try to massage the whole mess into there. That's not gonna look good. Okay, then for the final finishing touches, here's premium degreaser from Dr. Beasley's, and here's our premium wheel cleaner. This is non-acid. So what I want to do is I just want to spray some of this onto this aluminum rim. And because it's non-acid, it's not going to stain or turn anything gray like some acid wheel cleaners would do. And then I'm just going to give this a final cleaning using a chemical approach instead of an abrasive approach. And remember, I've already cleaned my brush, so it's nice and clean. Just come in here and do a little final cleaning. So sometimes using two approaches, mechanical and chemical, will get you the best or the optimum results. You're not relying on just one approach, you're using two approaches. Now, some people would say, Mike, that's a little OCD for me. And I agree. And if it's not your cup of tea, you can, by gosh, skip this step. Again, I'm gonna just take real quick and clean my brush. Not that it matters because I'm gonna bump up to the front one, but just to show you how. I like to actually put it right in there, buried into the bristles, and turn that on. Bring it up to speed, boom, back to clean. And then, before I rinse that off, this is actually a really nice, simple wheel face brush. We carry these at Dr. Beasley's. The wheel cleaner's been in there loosening, emulsifying, any scunge, as I like to call it. I mean, this thing's been sitting in a garage or a barn for maybe a dozen years. Then my friend Mike Gelter bought it and brought it back to life. I think he upgraded the brakes, gave it a fresh tune-up. My class did all the paint correction, ceramic coating on it. It did come in completely swirled out. And you can see the before videos on my Instagram page if you don't believe me. Okay, so a nice thorough wash. Whoops. And then I just want to take and agitate that degreaser one more time. Get the bottom, pay some attention down here. And this is a clean wheel and tire. And I haven't timed myself. Well, this video will tell you the time. But a few weeks ago, I actually posted a video. It was actually a couple months ago. Me and Yancey, we did some machine scrubbing on his Jeep tire on the back of his Jeep, so elevated. And I got down on the ground and showed how to do the same kind of thing without the soft scrub on a Camaro tire. And some guy actually said, you know, if it takes you longer than 8 minutes, it's not a profitable business model. But I've been doing this since the 1970s and the 80s. And by the time I sit my butt cushion down here, gather up all my slides, sit here and clean this, you're on average 15 minutes. That's an hour. And that's one of the reasons, you know, myself and others teach, always start with the wheels and tires, then go to the top and work your way down. Because if you start at the top and work your way down, wash the car, Then you do the wheels and tires. The whole time you're on your butt for an hour, you have water drying on the car, causing water spots. And simply, some people say, well, Mike, you could dry the car off. Yeah, but as you can see, I got splattered. Now I'm repeating stuff, so I got to dry the car again. So start at the bottom, go to the top. That's the best way to do it. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and reset up and do the front one. I'm not going to video, but it is the same process. Then I got two on the other side to do. Thanks for watching. And remember, there will be a follow-up video that goes to this that I'll show how to machine polish these aluminum wheels the quick, fast, simple, easy way. That'll all be on the Dr. Beasley's YouTube channel. Before I move on to the other three wheels and tires, this is starting to just air dry, but I want to dry it all the way and just show you how clean this thing is while I'm still out here kind of in natural light. So here's one of my favorite tools. This is the Ego leaf blower. This is the original, the 650 CFM version. It works just as good as the modern version. Of course, you know, get the modern version if you have that option. But I'm just going to speed dry this tire. Okay, you know, a lot of people like the stubby, but I actually like the factory nozzle. It gives me reach. I can reach things with it. I always think it's funny because if that thing would have came with a short nozzle, someone would have invented the long nozzle, then everybody would have bought that. It's just happened in reverse. Okay, so let me get in here and look how clean this tire is. Okay, mechanical abrasion. This is perfectly clean for either a tire dressing or a tire coating, if you're into that. Okay, time to get busy, try to beat the sun's moving over here. I'm gonna lose shade. It is hot. It's probably 80 some degrees out here, 80% humidity. Gotta love detailing outside in Florida. After machine scrubbing all four tires and then actually rinsing the car down and drying it off, let's come in and take a look. We have really clean rubber sidewalls. Now I'll show you how to use the tool that I machine scrub the tires to actually apply the dressing. And for that, what I like to do is I can use that same bowl, but I put some of the Dr. Beasley's tire conditioner. I just kind of dump it into the bowl, take the brush, paint it onto the sidewall, and then work it in with the brush on low speed. So let me go ahead and set up my camera on the tripod, and I'll show you how that's done. Okay, let's get this show on the road here. So here we got the clean tire sidewall. This is the Dr. Beasley's tire conditioner. Okay, so it prevents fading, cracking, and browning, rejuvenates dull-looking tires, and prevents premature aging. Also includes UV inhibitors to block the sun's harmful rays. To me, what I like about this is it's going to give it a natural black finish that's not gooey or not greasy or slimy. And I also practice just having some scrap rags around to wipe off any excess, because that's actually the secret to no sling, is remove anything excess. If you leave excess dressing in the cracks and the crevices around the lip of the rim here, when the car gets up to speed, it naturally slings off through centrifugal force. So, I mean, it's common sense. Okay, this is just a cheap staining brush. I always mark it with tire so I don't cross-contaminate it with other projects I do. And then the way this just works better or best is just apply some there right to the inside of there, and just take your brush and then just kind of paint some on. It's a lot easier than trying to get it out of the tube and then spread onto the tire. And of course, with this spinning brush, I mean, it's gonna just go nuts. It's gonna put this tire dressing into all the cracks and the crevices. It's really gonna do a good job. Like I mentioned in the before video, I think the first time I machine scrubbed, I had a set of 40-inch Toyo tires on a monster truck I owned. And I wanted to get the tires clean for a coating, and I didn't want to sit there and scrub them by hand. So I took a Cyclo aqua brush and put it on a porter cable and spent about 45 minutes per tires scrubbing them, just getting them so clean that there'd be no adhesion issues with the tire coating and the rubber. And it worked really good. They held up for years. But for this, I'm just going to go ahead and show how to use a rotary, because it works so much better than a free spinning random orbital polisher like a porta cable or any free spinning polisher because you won't get no brush stalling. Okay, so I've spread that product down. I'm gonna crank this down to the 1. I always teach people to lock their buttons there. Grab the battery in the back, right here, and then just come in and start massaging that product into the tire. And this really works good for tires that have what's called siping, S-I-P-I-N-G. And if you look at a tire sidewall, sometimes you see these lines in the tire sidewall, usually kind of at an angle. That's called siping, and I guess the theory is it kind of helps the water on the side to kind of sling off in an organized pattern. I don't know. I always find it a real pain in the butt to detail that, because not only do you got to get a brush into all the siping on the sidewall to clean it, but later on you got to do like I'm doing here and get all that tire dressing into the siping so you have a uniform look. And then if you want to wipe off the excess, it's even trickier because you can't really get a towel into all the tiny little crevices of the lines. So poor design. Now, this is what I like about having a little extension on here. So I've got the flat spot down here, and all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna push this in. I can take and put a little more tire dressing in there, and usually just being able to push it in there is more than enough to treat and dress the flat spot on the tire. But of course you can just roll this thing and get them all. So here we go. Oops. So I'm just pushing. I always like to try to make the tool do all the work for me. And I want to move on to the next tire. So I just want to try to get this done as quickly as I can, but I want to do a professional job. I want to keep my results pro grade. Okay. And no, you can't really see it from the camera, but the lettering here where it says radial TA, there's siping in the center of the letters, little straight lines everywhere. Okay, so now I've machine applied it. Come back with the scrap rag. This is just a washcloth. I like to get these at Walmart, but anywhere, it's just cotton. And I know everybody's all hooked on microfiber, but sometimes cotton, it's stouter, and it just works better for doing grunt work like this. I'm gonna wipe off the excess. And keep in mind, as soon as I get done dressing all these tires, I'm coming back and I'm gonna show how to polish out these aluminum wheels. The quick, fast, easy way for do-it-yourselfers. Now, I know a lot of you pros out there would say, well, Mike, you're doing that wrong. You need to take the wheel off the car and put it on a wheel stand and get out the, look at hardly any coloring coming off because I scrubbed them so well. And then, use a really complicated system. But what I'm going to show is the things that the average do-it-yourselfer can purchase, at a retail store or online. And I'm just going to show you how to knock these out, make them look good. The problem with trying to make them look perfect is it's really hard to keep them that way. So what I try to show people is just get them really good. If there's bare aluminum like this, they're going to oxidize again anyway. So you just want to have a process that's quick, fast, and easy so you can maintain them. Anyway, let me grab the camera. I'll come back and throw a light on here and show you how nice this looks. Then I got to knock out the other 3 tires and move on to the next video. Here are the final results. And I got actually a trusty dusty, this is a Lake Country handheld light, but it's a stroll finder light. Let me turn it on. And any of that, I wiped off the excess, but some of that little liquid area, that'll just dry. It'll actually dry to the touch. But look how nice this is, nice, deep, dark black. And everything was done. The cleaning was done by machine. The application of the product was done by machine. About the only thing I did was use that little terry cloth towel there to wipe off the excess. So there's how I do it. There's how I teach it in our classes. And I teach thousands of tips and techniques to turn out pro quality results while saving you time, saving you steps, and being consistent every time you work on something. You can go more information about our detailing classes at drbeasleys.com. And of course, I hope to see you in a future detailing class. So let's take a look at the final results. I'll come back and show you everything I used to go from start to finish. So here is just the front tire. Let me throw a little light on there. Deep, dark, black sheen is the word. Passenger side rear. This is probably the worst of the tires. Super dark black, looking good. Not greasy, not oily. Nothing's gonna sling off. Here is driver's side rear and driver's side front. And now these wheels are ready for the next video I'm going to make, which is how to machine polish aluminum. Wicked 32, by the way. That's a 427 big block poking out of there. This is a fun car for my class to train on. So let me go ahead and put my camera back on my tripod, and I'll just do a recap of everything I used. So here's a recap of the products and the process I used to go from neglected to respected. So I started out machine scrubbing the tires. For that, I'm using the Flex PE 150 cordless tool. Because it's cordless, it's really hard to get shocked out there. And it's important whenever you're doing wet work, you know, to not get hurt, especially if you got employees, or in my case, you're teaching the class. I don't want my students getting shocked. This is called a 5-inch rotary brush. When you search for this on Amazon, you should actually include the word inch, not the little quote sign, but INCH. 5-inch rotary brush, should pull right up. A company called SM Arnold imports and sells these in the United States. Then what I use is called the soft scrub. Now this is like a liquid version of Comet. You could use both. With this, you got to mix a little water. Just make sure you don't overdo it, or you just have a sloppy mess. And also when you use this, because some of the abrasives can settle down, I think it's a good idea to shake this up really well. This is a stainless steel dog dish I picked up, I think for $1.30 at the dollar store. And the reason I use this is because it's indestructible, you know, and this is a working shop, but because I can put the product in there, just put the brush right in like there, and pick up my product and, you know, get on with the process. Any kind of bowl would work. Hell, you could just like throw it up there on the tire if you want to. For the tools, just to kind of reference, you know, this is a tire scrubbing brush. You can tell it's a tire scrubbing brush because it's got short, stiff bristles, so it's meant to agitate really hard. If you don't want to do this, do it the old-fashioned way. Work a little bit elbow grease. I always like to show people to have some sort of detailing brush for getting into the lug nuts, the lug nut barrels, and around the valve stem. Now, and I covered this, but a lot of times the valve stem, they dry rot over time, exposure to the air, to UV rays. And sometimes when you take your brush down there and you're cleaning, it's really easy to whack that thing and break it off. And now instead of detailing the car, you're changing a flat tire. This is actually a wheel cleaning brush that we sell at Dr. Beasley's. And I actually like this. It's got a long bristle, so it'll get into the tight areas. The tips are all cut or flagged. That means they're split. You know, so you got more tips cleaning and getting into the nooks and the crannies and any kind of wheel design. So it's a nice brush. Also great for engine detailing. Then as far as chemicals go, you know, I showed, and you should, if you're a detailer, you should always do this. You should have a dedicated wheel and tire brush. The reason why is because when you're washing wheels and tires, you got the brake rotors and the brake pads, and they're breaking down, and that means metallic particles are coming off and onto your wheel brush, and you wouldn't want to take a wash mitt and dip it into that bucket and then wash body panels because you risk scratching the car. So always have a wheel and tire bucket. This is something I also like. I have a whole bunch of these for my classes here. This is called the knee and back cushion. These can be kind of hard to find, but they're on Amazon, and they're either like 50 or 60 bucks, but they're worth it. They're puncture resistant. They provide plenty of cushion, and of course, when you're doing wet work, it keeps your trousers from getting wet. Then in that bucket, I put a little bit of the Dr. Beasley ceramic body wash. You just want a nice soapy water to come back and do any kind of final scrubbing to loosen up any residues removed from the other process and products, just to get a good clean wheel and tire and a thorough rinse. For cleaning the wheels, this is the premium wheel cleaner. These are aluminum wheels. This is non-acid. It did no staining at all. They're still dull and oxidized, but that's the next video. This is the premium degreaser. After I machine scrubbed with the soft scrub, I did come back, I cleaned my brush, put a little bit of degreaser on there, and this way you're getting two cleaning actions. You're getting a mechanical abrasion from the abrasives in the soft scrub, and you're getting a chemical clean from the degreaser. Again, another very safe product. Something we also use for all the engine detailing classes we teach when we do what's called a wet wash engine detail. Besides that, this is something I like to share. I know it's simple, but I always tell people the little things are the big things. And this is just a simple sprayer you can get at Home Depot or Lowe's. And really the only two settings I use are the shower and the jet setting, and for the different reasons I shared in the video. But one thing I always like to do when I buy these things, it drives me up the wall, this little brass nut back here, it's real easy to spin off. It'll spin off on its own. So the first thing I do when I buy one of these, I run this down till it just starts to engage with the plastic lever here, and then I mix up some epoxy and I pour it in around the thread so it never comes off. And it's always set exactly where I want it. So a little tip that may help you out there. And then, of course, to dress the tires, we use the Dr. Beasley tire conditioner. I'd clean my brush by flushing water under it against the concrete when I was all done cleaning the tires. That way my brush is clean. Came back here, machine applied the dressing, worked it in really good, and then used a scrap rag to wipe off any excess so there's no tire sling. And it gives it a real nice matte sheen. It's a dark matte sheen, which is what I like. I hate the greasy stuff. And then just another little tip, here's another little stainless steel bowl. And what I do is I just kind of dump some of this into there, get a cheap staining brush from any hardware store. I mark it because I have a bunch of these for other things I do, and I don't want to cross-contaminate my tire conditioner with any other thing I'm going to do. And then sometimes it just helps to have a high quality handheld light, you know, to inspect your work or for doing video work. Anyway, that's everything I use. These tires come out phenomenal. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to polish all the aluminum wheels. I'm going to use 4 different polishing, what they call a polishing ball or a power ball that slips onto a drill, like a cordless drill. And then you can come back to Dr. Beasley's YouTube channel and watch that video also. Besides that, is everything I use. That's how I clean tires myself, clean and dress them, and that's how I teach it in our classes. And we have the most hands-on classes on planet Earth here in Stuart. Just to note, the last class we had was the last class for this year. The class detailed 9 cars in 2 days in an extremely oxidized 24-foot C-Hunt center console boat. And if you notice there's any kind of blue stuff on the tire over here and actually on the ground, that's from the wet sanding process. So I taught machine wet sanding, followed by machine dry sanding, then rotary polishers, then orbital polishers, then gel coat ceramic coatings. Very intense, all days, very intense, hands-on detailing classes. No chairs, no PowerPoint, no sitting around, and 100% fun. Hope to see you at a future detailing class.